Welcome to Weekly Digest, where we highlight the work of ministers of government as they work to advance the administration's development agenda. Picking up from where we left off last week, Minister of Public Works, the Honourable Bishop JUAN EDGHILL, on behalf of President Dr. Mohamed Irfaan Ali, has rendered much-needed assistance to flood-affected communities located in the Upper Demerara Berbice Region 10 area. Last Saturday, Minister EDGHILL visited communities including Karakara and Spikeland, where needs assessments were carried out to provide support to residents.
We have received representation of the plight and the suffering that you have endured here over the last period. We have three things that is priority for us right now. And that is why I'm going down the creek to see what's going on. Number one, safety of everybody. So if anybody is living in any condition that is unsafe, we have to evacuate them.
Following the visit, affected households were provided with hampers containing food and cleaning supplies. Prime Minister, the Honourable Brigadier Retired Mark Phillips, and Minister of Amerindian Affairs, the Honourable Pauline Sukai, also visited other parts of Region 10 to provide similar support. Over in Rockstone, Minister Sukai delivered 100 food hampers and 100 sanitizers and cleaning packages to affected residents. On Sunday, Minister EDGHILL led further relief efforts, this time to the community of Kokwani, one of the worst hit across the country. Together with community leaders and councillors, distribution of food and cleaning supplies commenced.
We want to be able to get supplies all the way down the Berbice River as far as Kalkuni or Wairuni. This morning, we are delivering on the promise that was made by the President when he came here on Saturday afternoon. Representation was made about what your needs are. And here we are today. I stand here representing the President and the Cabinet.
With most homes inundated, the government also spearheaded efforts through the Civil Defence Commission to establish shelters for displaced residents.
So the CDC is fully mobilized in Sub-District 2 of Region 10. And this morning they are opening shelters to evacuate people from homes where they're still living where water is heavy. We already have 2 families in the shelter here at this school.
Through its emergency relief exercise on Monday, 60 food hampers with cleaning supplies were also distributed to residents of Wiki Kalkuni, 78 to Lamp Island, 136 to waterfront residents, 25 to Waterfront Road, 20 to Bamboo Landing, 188 to Landeville, and 170 to Hururu Mission. Residents of Pottsville and other areas in Sub-District 2 also benefited. Government accelerated its efforts to provide relief to residents across the East Berbice quarantine region who have been affected by flooding. On Sunday, Agriculture Minister, the Honourable ZULFIKAR MUSTAPHA, led a team to over 20 villages across the quarantine coast where assessments were conducted and on-the-spot solutions were made to ensure the water receded from farming and residential lands within a 24-hour period. The minister's first stop was at Bloomfield, where he instructed the National Drainage and Irrigation Authority, NDIA, to install an additional pump to help with the drainage irrigation system. NDIA also deployed several excavators in various villages to help with the cleaning of drains and canals.
What our focus now is to ensure that first of all we drain the land. That's the number one priority for us. We drain the land so that people can at least get a little comfort. Also we'll try to see how we can help the community, because there are some people who cannot afford also to get foodstuff right now. We are trying to see how we can help.
Minister of Labour, the Honourable Joseph Hamilton, on Sunday also visited several areas in South Georgetown to assess the flood situation. Several homes were inundated after hours of rainfall. Minister Hamilton said the situation was as a result of negligence on the part of the Georgetown Mayor and City Council.
The reports from NDIA indicates that many of the pump attendants were asleep this morning when they should have been working the pumps. when they should have been working the pumps to ensure that water get out of these areas. You know, we intervened at the level of the Ministry of Agriculture, NDIA, and installed pumps at Sussex Street here, where we're at Princess Street, to help alleviate this problem. And so, if the City Council was properly supervising the staff, the people should not have been suffering the way they're suffering here in this part of town.
The minister provided assistance to those residents who were severely affected. Meanwhile, Minister of Health, the Honourable Dr. Frank Anthony, has assured citizens that there is no shortage of second doses of the Oxford, AstraZeneca and Sinopharm vaccines. Minister Anthony gave the assurance during Monday's COVID-19 update.
As I've said in the past, and I continue to say, AstraZeneca, the vaccine, what you get for first dose is the same vaccine you will get as your second dose. And because we know that, when we receive AstraZeneca vaccines, what we did was to keep half of it as the second dose. So every person who would have received AstraZeneca vaccine, we have your equivalent second dose in storage. We also have, as you know, we initially had about 20,000 doses of Sinopharm, and the Sinopharm vaccines are similar. What you get for your first dose is the same vaccine you will get on your second dose.
Minister Anthony issued an appeal to persons who are yet to take their second doses to do so at the earliest opportunity. The Health Ministry's third COVID-19 vaccination drive-through, held in Pomeroon Supernam Region 2, saw over 250 persons receiving their jabs. Health Minister Dr. Anthony on Monday noted that over the last weekend alone, more than 500 doses were administered.
I think for Region 2 it was fairly good. They were able to do around 250 vaccines in that drive-through. And then yesterday they did another exercise that yielded about 253 or so.
That was in the same area as well?
In Anna Regina. So I think for those two exercises, you had a little bit more than 500 doses being administered.
Residents of Masara, Region 9, Upper Takatu, Upper Essequibo commended the government for its swift response following severe flooding in the region. Minister of Local Government and Regional Development, the Honourable Nigel DHARAMLALL, visited the community on Sunday last as part of a wider outreach to the region to assess the flood situation and distribute relief supplies to residents. More than 100 hampers were handed over to be distributed to persons gravely affected in Masara and satellite village Quimata. The minister said the government is committed to providing further assistance where needed.
We have teams in Karasabay, in South Central, and in Deep South Rupununi doing the same thing, providing humanitarian support, making sure that people are safe, making sure that our health teams are also out in the fields. We've had reports of a lot of waterborne type diseases. We've had reports of dengue, malaria as well. So our health teams are out ensuring that these diseases are contained.
Apateri, Rewa and Crash Water also benefited from the distribution of hampers since access was restricted to and from the villages. Guyana's fight against COVID-19 has been boosted with the donation of critical materials from the Government of Canada to the Ministry of Health. The Health Minister on Tuesday accepted the donation of personal protective equipment, PPEs, which included face shields, goggles, masks and isolation gowns from the Canadian High Commissioner, His Excellency Mark Berman, Operations Officer at the World Bank, Mr. Hubert Forrester, and PAHO WHO Representative, Dr. Louis Cadena.
What we are looking at is using the donations that we've received and getting it out as fast as possible to our health workers so that they can get busy with the job of preventing COVID-19 infections.
The items were purchased through a Canadian $5 million grant from the Government of Canada through PAHO's Preparedness, Research and Response Initiative for Caribbean countries. Dr. Anthony said the funding has greatly enhanced Guyana's COVID response.
These grants have started working from since September last year, and what we see around us today represent just a small part of what we have been able to buy with these monies. And as fast as we get those things, we've been sending them out to the different regions.
Meanwhile, Dr. Anthony says despite flooding across the country, persons are still turning out in their numbers to take the COVID-19 vaccines.
There are communities where there's generally hesitancy, and we are working to change those persons' minds. But in other communities, whether it's raining or not, people have been coming out, and hopefully that trend would continue.
The health minister said as of May 31, over 40% of the country's adult population had taken their first dose of the vaccine.
As of today, I think we have hit what I would consider a very significant milestone, because we now have 201,000 persons, 347, who would have received the first dose of their vaccine. So that's a significant milestone. 201, 347 persons receiving their first dose. That would account for 41.4% of our adult population.
The increase in the number of persons taking the vaccine pushes Guyana closer to achieving herd immunity against the virus. Herd immunity will be achieved when some 500,000 individuals have been vaccinated. Minister within the Ministry of Public Works, the Honourable DEODAT INDAR, led a flood assessment exercise to Bell West and Canal No. 2 Region 3. There he pledged immediate interventions to bring relief to residents.
Our main priority is make sure people have food and make sure that they have place to sleep, right? Housing, that's the main thing. Any damages to property, and so we're going to have to look at that at a later date. The entire country is affected to some extent. So we really, want to make sure that we respond in a measured way.
Minister Indar said machines were also deployed to the areas to conduct drainage and irrigation works. On Wednesday, Agriculture Minister the Honourable ZULFIKAR MUSTAPHA also conducted a flood assessment in Region 3, where he noted that works are advancing swiftly to bring relief to residents and farmers whose livelihoods were severely affected by the flooding. The minister reached out to villages including Good Fortune, Canals No. 1 and 2, Bell East and Bell West.
I just gave instruction for 2 pumps to go there. The NDC is mobilizing and we will rent the pump. NDIA, Ministry of Agriculture. So that will help the situation in the community. Right? Good. And then the NARI will have their officers to do the assessment.
Minister Mustapha said while there are some long-term projects already streamlined to be executed, the government's priority is to initiate immediate solutions to ensure that the lands are drained of water. The Ministry of Health received 2 ventilators from the government and people of Mexico to boost Guyana's fight against COVID-19. The Health Minister received the medical equipment from Mexican Ambassador to Guyana, His Excellency Jose Omar Hurtado Contreras, on Wednesday. Minister Anthony said the ventilators have come at a time when every effort is needed to combat the COVID pandemic.
One of the ways of saving people is really by giving them, those who really get sick and are hospitalized, they would need ventilatory support. Without ventilators, they would not survive. And it's a crucial time for everyone, because here in the Americas, we have seen that while in the world, you've had probably about 3.5 million deaths. Here in the Americas, we've had more than 1 million deaths.
The health minister noted that cooperation among countries at this time is critical since the pandemic is a global challenge. Meanwhile, Guyana on Thursday walked away with 8 awards at the Carbon Examination Council's Regional Awards Ceremony for the 2020 Carbon Secondary Examination Certificate, CSEC, and Carbon Advanced Proficiency Examinations, CAPE. Minister of Education, the Honourable PRIYA NANICKCHAND, said she is pleased with Guyana's performance.
I'm very pleased to say that, again, Guyana has copped the top CSEC award and the top CAPE award. So both of the top students in the entire Caribbean came from Guyana. These are students we are very proud of. We are extremely pleased to be not only celebrating them here today, but holding their hands and supporting them and their families in the next step of their education.
Guyana also copped individual awards for science, business, technical vocation and principles of accounts at the CSEC level, natural sciences at CAPE level, and the top school for the region. The Education Minister said the performances are a testimony of what can be achieved when the right investments are made in the education sector.
The effort has to be that wherever students go to school, to whichever secondary school in whichever region, that if they apply themselves and they get the parental support we see from these parents here, they can do well and they can top and they can access tertiary education and they can access the next type of education, next stage of education in a variety of fields. You know, we have just launched the 20,000 scholarship program, so we are very committed to developing our middle class, to adding more people to it, which means taking more people out of poverty and out of the lower class if there is one.
Residents of Toka Village Region 9 will soon benefit from improved access to potable water. Minister of Housing and Water, the Honourable COLLIN, during a recent visit to the community, said residents can expect a new well which will be drilled at the cost of $10 million.
This represents our fourth well that we are drilling for this year, and in fact, since this rig has been acquired, this will be the 8th well that is being dug. And so we're expecting to spend about $10 million here in the Toka community.
The Guyana Water Incorporated is spearheading the drilling exercise. Additionally, a distribution network, photovoltaic system, and new service connections will be established to serve more than 80% of the village. Minister CROAL said similar exercises will be conducted in other parts of the country.
The rig is expected to be placed in Bartica for the drilling of a new well at 5 miles. So persons at Bartica would be pleased to hear this, because we have had the challenge of the water reaching up to 4 miles and then has to climb a hill. Then this rig will move on to region number 1 for a number of wells as part of our 2021 budgetary program.
Residents in and around Lethem will soon be able to access the services of the Guyana Water Incorporated and the Central Housing and Planning Authority under one roof. Minister CROAL recently turned the sod at the Lethem commercial block where the offices will be built.
Currently, the evaluation is ongoing for the awarding before the contract is awarded. And so we are expected to have this awarding be done within 3 weeks for commencement.
A $23 million budget allocation will finance the construction of the 25 by 40 feet building, which is to be completed in 3 months. The project forms part of the administration's manifesto promise to decentralize essential services, reduce waiting time, and enhance the ease of doing business. Minister CROAL says plans are in train to build similar offices in the other administrative regions. On Friday, the Ministry of Local Government and Regional Development signed 10 contracts valued at $650 million for the commencement of infrastructural works in several regions across the country. At a simple ceremony held in the ministry's boardroom, Minister DHARAMLALL said these projects will not only benefit citizens, but also open doors for small and medium-scale contractors.
One of the things that our government has been adamant in ensuring is that we share a lot of the work, quite unlike what has happened in the past when just a handful of people were part of the contractors database. So now we're trying to get as many persons as possible involved. In that way, we believe too that the resources will be spread around, and when the resources are spread around, the corresponding impact on employment is going to be enhanced.
Minister DHARAMLALL said the ministry's engineering and sanitation units will monitor the projects to ensure value for money. That's it for this edition of Weekly Digest. For these and other government-related information, log on to our website at dpi.gov.gy or our social media platforms.